All right, morning everyone, and welcome to a presentation or chat on tackling and succeeding with a PGDA at Regent Business School. With me this morning, we're very fortunate to have Yvonne Starkey, a lecturer and a study coach who will be joining us and giving a presentation as well. I'm Professor Philip Stegen, Head of Accounting at Regent Business School. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Regent Business School and what we offer, and then Yvonne will chat to you about her speciality, and then we'll have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. Right, I have a real passion for auditing and have been involved in auditing all my life. First, while studying, when I did an honors in auditing, then working for an audit firm for some years, and later at a university. I've lectured auditing for over 30 years, and I must say I have enjoyed each year. The highlights of my career have been the many students who have passed the PGDA and who then went on to pass the ITC exams. I've followed the progress of some of my former students, and it has just been so rewarding seeing many of them absolutely excelling in their lives. Some of the students have become CEOs of listed companies. Some have made their name in academia, in various institutions and NGOs, achieving and contributing to the country and society in many different ways. Over the years, a number of the students that we have taught have finished in the top 10 of the ITC or board exams, including one who was the top student in South Africa. I've now been with Regent Business School for the last 5 years. We are hoping to have similar success with our Regent students. Telling you, just to talk a little bit about Regent Business School, Regent Business School's vision is to be a leading provider of entrepreneurial, business, management, and accounting education, and to develop accountants and business leaders through research and innovation. In line with this vision, its mission is to provide accessible, affordable, and quality education responsive to the critical needs of South Africa and the African continent. Regent Business School's objectives are, the School of Accounting at Regent Business School objectives are as follows: to equip prospective chartered accountants with the competencies necessary to be successful in the PGDA program and in SAICA's ITC or board exam, and more generally in their careers as chartered accountants. Secondly, to promote accounting as a discipline that will make a positive contribution to society. Thirdly, to impart relevant knowledge to students and develop technical, pervasive, entrepreneurial, and creative skills which will be useful for your career development, employability, and fulfillment of personal and independent aspirations. Fourthly, to inculcate a sense of integrity, morals, and values to guide students in their life and careers. Fifthly, to provide quality education to students and an ability to apply their knowledge in the workplace. To develop lifelong learning skills, and then also to promote the local professional bodies, and in particular SAICA and IRVA. As far as the accounting programs are concerned, Regent Business School offers a BCom accounting, which at this stage is not yet accredited with SAICA, an access or bridging program, and a PGDA. I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about the PGDA that we offer. The Regent PGDA is accredited with SAICA and is running for the second year now. Students are required to pass the Big Four modules to pass the PGDA, the normal accounting, auditing, math, and tax. And the aim of the PGDA is to prepare students for the SAICA board exam and to equip students with all the technical, pervasive, and ethical skills to become competent accountants and auditors who can contribute materially to the country, the profession, and society in an innovative and ethical manner. In keeping with the new SAICA competency framework and CA 2025, we are attempting to integrate all the modules and to incorporate more pervasive and ethical skills into the program. The other program that I just want to mention is the Access for Success in Accounting program. This is our bridging program for those who do not quite meet the admission criteria to PGDA. The bridging program was offered for the first time this year. The Access program also consists of the big 4 modules, and the level of the modules is basically at the 3rd year plus level to prepare you then for the PGDA. All 4 modules focus mainly on the principles, theories, and practices of each topic. They also deal with material covered in previous courses. The program is designed to enable you to achieve a sufficient level of competency and relevance to permit entrance to the PGA on completion of the Access program, as well as a reasonable chance of success in the PGDA. Speaking generally about both of these programs, the Regent PGDA and Access programs are blended distance models with online notes and regular online lectures and tutorials to explain the various concepts. Detailed notes, a study schedule, and a variety of relevant tutorials are given to students to assist you to understand the 4 modules and prepare you for the various assessments. Various topical and current developments are shared with students to spice up the modules and to engender more interest and relevance in the modules. We try and assist students with ways in which to approach their studies and assessments. We equip you with the necessary knowledge, the approaches to answering questions, working on exam technique, and exposing you to some of the ITC questions. We are continually working on ways to make the program more interactive and getting students more engaged with their studies. We appreciate that the PGDA and Access programs are indeed very time-consuming and that it will be a difficult year for students with a vast quantity of work which needs to be covered. We endeavor to make your studies at Regent a pleasurable and rewarding experience. Regent Online is used as our point of access, as it facilitates interaction between the staff and the students. The online learning management system will enable you to communicate with your lecturers through guided learning sessions, allow you to interact with other students and your lecturers through online chat, enable personal consultations with your lecturers, provide feedback on concept questions attempted, and provide access to study material and additional resources, for example, journal articles, quiz and concept tests, webinars, and podcasts on difficult concepts. We are indeed blessed to have a wonderful team of enthusiastic, dedicated, and very experienced academics who only want the best for the students. Most of the staff are chartered accountants. All the PGDA staff have been involved in lecturing for many years. Our entrance criteria for the PGDA is similar to other universities. Students should have done a BCom accounting at a SAICA accredited institution in the last year or 2 and should have marks over 55% in all their 3rd year modules or in the Access programs or bridging programs. Students who don't quite meet the entrance criteria for the PGDA are encouraged not to give up on their dreams of becoming chartered accountants and instead attempt the Access for Success in Accounting program. We appreciate that many of our students are working and that your time is very limited. As a result, we have stretched our PGDA program out over 28 weeks and ideally would like to start the program in the middle to end of January, thereby building in a bit of study time before each of the tests and then the exams. We have one intake of students doing an 18-month PGDA, which we are exploring further as we do believe that that would be ideal for distance students. Our tests and exams, which have been online, are usually written over the weekend so as not to inconvenience you or your employers. The year-end exams are venue-based to ensure the integrity of the exams and to give you exposure to venue-based exams such as the ITC. There are 4 tests held during the year, of which the best 3 or 4 count towards the year mark. Regular lectures and tutorials are hosted over the weekends and in the evenings. This is so that we do not, as far as possible, interfere with your work time. Students may alternatively access the webinars which record our lectures and tutorials. Whilst we endeavour to assist students as much as possible, we do also need students to commit to the program and to prioritise their studies. The PGDA, as you all know, is a very challenging year due mainly to the volume of work that needs to be covered to prepare students for the year-end exams and then the board exams. Students need to be committed to put their studies first during this year to be successful. We are happy to partner with you as students to ensure your success in the PGDA and access programs. We do make available a complete and comprehensive set of notes. And as I say, we then have a whole host of tutorials for you to practice on. And we do believe that we prepare you adequately so that you can succeed in your studies. Right, that's a little bit about the program at Regent Business School. It is now a pleasure for me to introduce Yvonne Starkey, who is also a chartered accountant, a lecturer and a study coach who is partnering with Regent on this particular venture. Just to tell you a little bit more about Yvonne, she has been lecturing auditing and accounting for CA route students for 15 years. Her website, Accounting Study Advice, has been helping, supporting, advising, and motivating accounting students since 2013. She is passionate about assisting students to achieve their goals, both academically and professionally. Her main focus now is assisting students to make the mindset and strategic shifts in their thinking and learning that are necessary to meet the requirements of exams that are increasingly designed to assess professional skills to ensure future professionals are equipped to add value in a continually changing society. We are hoping to learn a lot from Yvonne in ways to improve our program and student success. If I can hand over to Yvonne, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Stegen. I appreciate the introduction. I'm super happy to be here today and to chatting to everyone. If I can just share my screen. Prof, if you can just confirm that you can actually see my screen. Are we good? You can see.
Not yet.
Okay, if you can just give me a thumbs up when it pops up, because sometimes it has to think a little bit. All right, good morning, everyone. I'm really chuffed to, as I said, I'm really chuffed to be here today. And I think that this is probably one of the few times that you'll have, thank you very much, that you're going to have probably more than one auditing lecturer in the same room. that's not very, that's not particularly common. So I think that's very cool. I'm normally the only one, so that's very cool. Alrighty, so let's talk about what I actually do. And as Prof. Stegen said, I've lectured auditing and accounting for about 15 years. So you know, I love lecturing, I love teaching, and I spend an enormous amount of time trying to figure out how to help students pass, how to help students improve, and simplifying material, simplifying concepts, giving more lectures, etc., etc., etc. This is all stuff that I've gone through and worked on, etc., etc. And then I started realizing that this wasn't quite enough, that this wasn't working. So I started looking into some other concepts, and I'm going to introduce you to some of these. And our session today, I think, is going to be eye-opening for quite a lot of you. And it'll, at the very least, it's going to give you some really great stuff to think about in terms of your studying. If you're still completing your studies this year, it's going to be very valuable for you to think about, in terms of approaching your upcoming exams. And obviously for your PGDA and your studying after that, I believe that the stuff that we're going to talk about is going to be very valuable for you. You're going to learn some stuff, and it's going to open the conversation to a whole bunch of stuff that we may not have considered. So let's jump into it. I think the first thing that I want to say is that I'm aware that, amongst the group, of you guys, some of you are in third year, some of you are in PGDA, some of you haven't really started. So, we have a bit of a range of students. So I'm aware that there is going to be a bit different. So I would have to say that the best representation of studying, especially at PGDA level, the best representation that I've ever found of studying, including my experience, has to be this photo. I think that chair represents how most of us feel about our studying, especially at PGDA level. And if you're not there yet, that is what's waiting for you. That's going to be what's waiting for you. If you've spoken to anyone else, if you've chatted to other people doing CTA or PGDA, that's what's waiting for you. Okay. So why do I focus on this and why do I care? Most people, when they start hearing about mindset, obviously the first thing that we go to is motivational stuff. Let me make you feel better about your studying. Let me motivate you, inspire you, etc. I'm not interested in that. Yes, it would be great that you felt all warm and fuzzy about your studying, but that's not where I'm going. I'm interested in your practical studying. I'm interested in how you study and the effectiveness of your studying in order to get where you need to go, which is passing. Okay, so this is why I do what I do. Why do I focus on this chair? The first reason that I'm interested in this chair and how you feel about your studying is because it takes up an enormous amount of mental energy, right? So the first reason that I think it's important that we're aware of how you feel about this is that it takes up mental energy. If you think of your brain as a battery, the mental energy you have every day, going to work, sitting in traffic, financial issues, life obligations, family obligations, arguments with people, your studying, etc. All of this drains your mental energy and leaves you with less energy to actually approach your studying, right? Now, if you're fearful of your studying, if you're uncomfortable with your studying, if you know that when you get home tonight or this weekend, you're facing that chair, you got to sit on that chair in front of your desk, that eats up mental energy as well. And the reason that I care about that is because your mental energy is not focused on your studying, it's focused on worrying about your studying. Okay, so you're separating, or your mental energy is split. So that's very, very important. I'm very interested in what's going on in your head and where your mental focus is. It's going to be on worrying about stuff as opposed to the stuff itself. And again, I've been there. Okay, so I'm not preaching to you as though this is not something that I struggled with for very many years. I know how it feels. I've been there. Okay, so the first reason I do this is because of the mental energy. The second reason that I do this is because it impacts your studying. And this is obviously why I care so much about this, right? Consciously or unconsciously, if you know that you're going to be facing this chair, doing questions that you're uncomfortable with, covering topics that you're not comfortable with, prepping for exams, etc., then your studying is going to be impacted. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're not going to make the same decisions about your studying if that's how you feel about it. It's natural. Fine. So why do we feel this way, or where is this coming from, and what's the actual problem? Most students will tell me, but Yvonne, I'm kind of afraid of failure. If this is not really something that's been a huge issue in your life, maybe you're still in third year, again, keep this conversation in mind as you start your PGDA, because I promise you it's going to hit you probably within the first 3 weeks of your studying. You're going to realize things have changed. Okay. Most students say to me, but Yvonne, my concern is failure. I have a fear of failure. It goes a little deeper than that. And I wanted to unpack that a little bit and talk about it. So the problem that we have predominantly is that our personality styles, and my handwriting is terrible this morning. I'm sorry. Clearly not enough coffee. Okay. One of our big problems is that our personality styles as accountants, as accounting students, we don't like uncertainty. We're not good with uncertainty. I want to know what's going on. Okay. So one of the other things that we're not okay with is not knowing the answer or not knowing. Okay. This makes us feel incredibly uncomfortable. All right. Incredibly uncomfortable. I want to know the answer. I want to know what's going on. Okay. So these, if I summarize a whole bunch of stuff and oversimplify a little bit, the fear of uncertainty or the avoidance of uncertainty and that discomfort we have with not knowing will change the way we study. In most cases, what I see is that the desire to avoid uncertainty and the desire to avoid putting ourselves in situations where we don't know the answer, what that does is it means that we focus more on theory than on doing questions. Our lecturers will continue to tell us, you need to do more questions, do questions at this level, apply, and we're like, yeah. I hear you. Questions are important. I will do them later when I'm finished the syllabus. I just need to do some more revision. I just need to get comfortable with it. I don't know my stuff. It's the stuff that I hear from students all the time, right? Both in undergrad, postgrad, I don't know my stuff, Yvonne. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Questions are important when I know my stuff. Why do we avoid this? We don't like uncertainty. We don't like not knowing, okay? Very important for me and very fascinating is where this comes from. And this is where I work with students, and this is super valuable for you to understand, is that this is going to sound a little bit weird to say, so have patience with me. This is going to sound a little strange. Your belief about what successful learning is, in most cases for accounting students, is wrong. Sounds terrible. I know. Breathe. Your understanding about learning is a little off. It's a little wrong. Your belief about how learning works is wrong. Sorry. Why do I say this? Where is this coming from? What's going on here? Okay. Most accounting students got into accounting because they got decent marks at school. They were good with accounting, numbers-based stuff, science, etc., etc. So most accounting students were herded, if you will, or filtered into the profession because of good marks, because they did well at school. Fine. That means that most of us have very similar strengths and weaknesses. One of the things that most of us have is what I call a smooth learning journey at school. Okay. I call this a smooth learning journey because what happened for most of us at school is that we would hear information. Our lecturers, our teachers would tell us stuff. We would know it, or, if you want to put it like we would get it, we're comfortable with it. We're like, yeah, I get that. I understand that. We would be able to do stuff pretty quickly and we get stuff right. So for most of us, the journey was very smooth. I hear it, I know it, I do it, I get it right. I hear more, I know it, I do it, I get it right. That's a smooth journey. We worked hard. A lot of us worked very hard. It's not that we didn't work. Didn't necessarily come easily to us, but it was smooth. Okay. Now, the problem with that is that creates an expectation that successful learning is smooth. Now, this is really important. If in your fundamental years, this is how learning worked for you, this is what the world looked like, this is how it worked, it developed a sense of comfort, it developed a sense of confidence. I knew that I was prepared for my studies. I felt confident in my work. I felt comfortable with what I was doing. I knew my stuff. I knew when I was prepared for exams. I knew that I was going into an exam prepared for what they were going to ask me. So we develop a belief of how the world works. For us, this is what successful learning looks like. You know it, you hear it, you know it, you do it, you get it right. That's what successful learning is. And then all of a sudden you hit higher levels in your studying. Some cases it's second year, some cases it's third year, and in a lot of cases it's PGDA, and the world breaks. Something starts going wrong. The cycle is not so smooth anymore. We hear stuff and we kind of go, yeah, okay. Oh, love the dog. Always good to have the pets join us. So what happens in later levels in our studying is that we hear stuff and we're like, not quite sure I got that. Or we go, yeah, okay, I get that, but I can't do it. It's not coming right. It's not coming right. So what happens now is that somewhere in the cycle, something breaks for us. Now, for someone who has a belief that successful learning should be smooth, this is scary stuff, because it's not only, I got it wrong. What that means for us is it creates a threat for us. We are very worried that this means perhaps we can't actually do this qualification after all. Perhaps I'm not smart enough for us. Perhaps I should stop. Perhaps this means that the qualification isn't meant for me. It's not, it's not like giving up. Because people are, no, I'm not going to give up. That's not quite what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we look at this wall in front of us and go, I'm never going to be able to do this. Like I've done everything I can. I've put in more hours than I ever have. It's not working anymore. Something has broken, and it must be that I'm not smart enough for this. Maybe I've reached that level that I can't go further. I'm not smart enough for this. Okay. In terms of our belief, what this leaves us with, and what massively summarized, generalized, obviously for the time that we have, is basically our belief is that if I was smart, sorry for the handwriting again, if I was smart, I'd get this right. And that, to a large extent, sums up why we feel the way we do about that chair. That chair represents uncertainty. It represents us not knowing what we're doing. If we knew we were sitting down to our desk tonight to study, and the question that we were going to do was something that we knew the answer to, we wouldn't feel that way about the chair. In fact, that's what we do. We go back to stuff we're confident with. This is why students have a tendency to gravitate towards subjects they're more comfortable with, because it makes them feel okay. It puts them back in their comfort zones. It makes them feel like, okay, maybe I can do this. So we wait for those times where we have the strength, the confidence, and the mental energy to face that chair. Because I can't face that chair if I've had a bad day at work, if I've had arguments with my family, if I'm tired, if I failed the last test, if I went to class and I have no idea what's going on. Our emotions and our feelings and our sense of uncertainty will make us avoid what we need to do. Now, over the years, I've dealt with thousands and thousands of students over the years. I would say a good 90% of them relate to this, especially in PGDA. So first thing I want you to know, you are not alone. Okay, you are not alone. This is absolutely, absolutely normal for accounting students. Okay, it's normal. We don't like uncertainty. We don't like not knowing, and that will consciously or unconsciously impact our studies. Most students will say to me, yes, Yvonne, I agree with you. I hear what you're saying, but. For me, I don't know my stuff. If you knew how little I knew my stuff, you would tell me to go back and study theory more. I'm not ready to do questions. So most of my students have this reasoning or this validation of why they should do more revision, why they should do more, more theory, and why they're not ready yet or shouldn't be ready yet to do questions. So I've heard it all. Okay. The point is, we don't like discomfort, and we'll make anything and we'll do whatever we can to avoid that, which is super dangerous for our studies. Prof. Stegen spoke about CA 2025. Okay. We're still getting great pictures of what this is going to mean, but for you and for students, what this means is there's a shift. And the shift is not what you think it is. Most of my students think the shift is going to be the calculations are harder, the formats are harder, the technical details are harder, there's more work, there's more volume. No. That's not where we're going. The shifts are in the areas that you are uncomfortable with. Skills over knowledge. It's kind of like saying the difference between learning how to drive a car by learning the instructions off by heart. And we're good at that. We can do that in one afternoon. I can learn the instructions off by heart. But does that mean that you can get behind the wheel of a car and drive? No. You can know those instructions inside out and backwards. But when you get behind the wheel of a car, you're going to stall the car. It's not going to go well. It's going to take time to put those instructions into practice, to figure out how to apply those skills, muscle memory, learning the coordination. It does not go smoothly just because you know the theory. And that is super crucial for us to understand, because this is where you're going. And this is why PGDA is so challenging for so many students, because they're going into it expecting harder work, harder calculations, more details, my memory, I need to remember stuff, I need to know stuff, I need technical stuff. And in reality, a lot of it is about your professional skills, communication, application, integration, understanding how this would apply to clients in completely different situations. I'm not interested in you being able to define an asset. I'm not interested in you being able to calculate depreciation. I have that on my phone. I don't have to have any accounting knowledge at all. And I can see what depreciation is, how to calculate depreciation on my phone. So what do I need you for? If I'm paying you the money, I expect you to explain how this applies in my company. So I'm going to come to you and go, okay, I bought this weird thing. I paid a lot of money for this thing. Is it an asset? I don't know. I bought cryptocurrency. Is it an asset? I spent a huge amount of money on this cloud computing system. Is it an asset? Why? Why not? You need to explain it and apply it to their very weird situation, whatever that is. That means that your ability to define and calculate stuff is not enough. It's not enough. I need you to be able to say, okay, in this particular situation, this is the issue, this is what we're looking at, this is what the problem looks at, this is my information, and now I need to, I kind of call it knit the two together. We need to knit the two together. This is the information, and this is what's going on in your company, and this is how it fits together. Some information is relevant, some's not, some's more, I've got to learn to apply that. And more importantly, I have to communicate it to you. So our uncertainty is only going to increase because we're working on a completely different skill base. It's a total level up in terms of skill, not knowledge, skill. Fine. This particular process or this particular understanding, belief, if you will, is called a fixed mindset. This is based on work and research done by a Professor Carol Dweck. And you'll find, if you look into fixed versus growth mindsets, you go and Google it, you'll see that it's the type of thing, it's being used a lot in private schools, in nursery schools, etc. In fact, the ACCA globally has named a growth mindset as one of the 10 top criteria that future accountants are going to need. Not, technical knowledge, etc. They're saying you guys need a growth mindset. Okay. So a fixed mindset, basically, if I was smart, I'd get this right. If I don't know it, it's a bad thing. I must get it right now. I must know it. And it must be a smooth journey. The opposite to this is what we call a growth mindset. Okay. And, super fundamentally, the instinctive approach to challenges is, I don't know this yet. And that one little word changes everything. Because now this chair doesn't represent your entire qualification. This chair represents temporary discomfort. And you are building tools to deal with that chair. You're not going to find that when you get into the final exam, that chair is going to go away. You're not going to find a comfortable sofa. No. What you're going to do and what you need to be doing is building tools to manage the situation. When you go into the exam, you want like a bulletproof blanket to put over that chair so that you can sit comfortably, You need to develop tools. We kind of study in the hopes that this is not going to happen. That the chair is going to be, if I know my stuff well enough, then that's not what the chair will look like. That is what the chair will look like. It's designed to be that way. I want to know if you can operate as a professional. I don't want you in the profession if you're not able to operate as a professional, to apply stuff, to communicate stuff, to work on that level. Because everybody out there has access to Google and can Google what is an asset. They need you to explain the impact, the awareness, the tax implications. Is it a good thing? Advice? Bad? That's what they need you to explain. What does this mean to me personally? Okay, so we need to help you develop tools to deal with this. So the growth mindset instinctively feels, I don't know this yet. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to try this. I'm going to work at it. And the word struggle to them is not negative. I'm willing to bet that if I ran a poll about the word struggle, I would say 90% of you would have a negative association with the word struggle in terms of your learning. We don't like struggle. This is understandable because when we were in school, the students who were struggling were the guys who were losers, failing. We didn't want to struggle. We were doing good. We were doing well. We didn't want to struggle. Whereas someone with a growth mindset is aware of the fact that learning takes time. It's a gradual process. It's a process from going, I don't know anything about this. I know a little bit about it. I'm learning more about it. I'm learning how to use it. I'm learning how to use it in different situations. I'm learning how to apply it. And slowly I develop competence with it. Not I learn everything off by heart and all of a sudden I'm able to use it. It doesn't work that way. That's not how learning works. So for me, the value of shifting and being aware of how much we relate to having a fixed mindset is crucial. Very few of us are like absolute extremes, one or the other. We're generally somewhere in between. But I find that the higher level that students go, the more they worry about, am I going to pass this? Is this for me? Because we all know the pass rates for CTA, PGDA are tough. We all know that. So we're all worrying, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for me? So I generally find this type of thing pops out and the impact of this pops out far more when we get to higher levels in our studying, because the uncertainty increases. And with that uncertainty for us comes the fear that, what does it mean if I'm not getting this right? I'm reluctant to ask for help because I don't want my lecturers to know that I don't actually know what's going on. Everybody else seems okay. Other people seem okay. There must be something wrong with me. And if I was smart, I would get this right. Maybe I'm not smart enough anymore, because I remember how it felt. I remember how it felt to be confident for my exams, and we want to get back there. So we kind of have this feeling that successful learning is about getting back to a smooth learning journey. Once I get back there, then I know. And how do we do that? We focus on our theory. We focus on our revision. We like, if I know more, if I know all my stuff, then the rest will be okay. And spoiler alert, that's not how it goes. Because I need you to use your knowledge in completely different situations. It's the same as getting behind the wheel of a car. I need you to be able to drive in easy situations, difficult situations, parallel parking. Oh my goodness. You need to practice using your skills in completely different situations. And the only way that happens is by jumping in and getting your hands dirty and learning how to deal with that chair. You need tools. Yeah, it's not going to feel great. Doesn't feel great. But by developing the tools, understanding where your discomfort comes from, and starting to develop habits that shift you from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And again, the beginning is awareness. One, we reduce our anxiety because we're not so panicked about what this means for us. Two, our mental energy can actually be focused on the studying and the content as opposed to worrying about the content. And it's going to impact your studying. It's going to shift the way that you study, which for me is the most important. So I'm not interested in motivating you, because motivation is temporary. Motivation is emotional. You can wake up tomorrow and feel emotional, and then you have an argument with someone, and now you're not motivated anymore. You were motivated this morning, then you got a test result back, now you're not motivated. So you're continuously learning, or you're waiting for someone else to make you feel good, so that when you feel good, you will do something. You're not going to reach success that way. It's like saying, I'm waiting for someone to motivate me to go to the gym. And if I'm not motivated, then my gym session won't work. That's not how it works. You can go to the gym and be horribly unmotivated. Someone can drag you there by your ear. But if you're doing the exercises, you'll get the results. You're going to get the results. Motivation helps you start the work. But if you're relying on motivation, like, I can only really work when I'm motivated. If I'm not motivated, I back off. Then we're in trouble. Because PGDA, man, that requires a bottomless amount of motivation, man. That's not happening. And the most important time is when it's you, that chair, at your desk, and there's no one to motivate you. No one is standing behind you. It's you and your brain on your own. So motivation, I'm not big on motivation. It's very temporary. Yeah, I would love you to feel fantastic about your studying. It's not reality. I want to help you understand the impact that the stuff has on your studying. And by doing so, we can reduce your anxiety levels. We can help you be more effective. Whether you're aware of it or not, this stuff impacts how you study. And it will and does go far beyond your studying. Far beyond your studying. You'll think, oh, once my exams are over, this is fine. We're good. Once exams are over, not a problem. Then I won't have, I guarantee you will. I guarantee you will. You ask any professional out there, whether or not they have situations of performance anxiety, and they will tell you, yes, every new job, every promotion, every new role, every new client creates some kind of performance anxiety. Am I going to be able to do it? This is something I haven't done before. This is uncertain. People are watching me. So your exams, that's performance anxiety, uncertainty, not knowing. But you chose, sorry to say, you chose a challenging career. Do you know what that means? That doesn't mean that you're going to be doing tough calculations. No. What that means is that you're going to be the one that people come to solve problems that no one else can and that a computer can't. That's what you're going to be doing, right? People can, I can Google a calculation. That's not a problem. But like someone, please can like fix it for me, change it, tell me, I can't solve this problem. That's what you're there for. So if you think that your exams are like the height of performance anxiety, sorry to say, you've chosen the wrong profession, because you're in for challenge all the way. And that's what you want. You want to change the world. You want an amazing, challenging career. That's fantastic. This is what it looks like. So that chair is going to follow you around for the rest of your life. Sorry. Sounds terrible. It's not terrible. Once you develop tools and you understand what it is, not a problem. We're good. You know, you can learn to deal with it, but understand that that's what's causing you anxiety. That's going to get in the way of your studying. That's going to impact the effectiveness of your study sessions, and it's going to impact your exams. So that's it from me. Huge amounts of information, very small time. At the very least, you know, if this is not something that you're relating to right now, log it in the back of your head. Think about it as you start PGDA, as you get into situations where you start panicking or feeling like this chair, then think about it, come back to this, do some research. You can find more information about me and what I do on my little website. Just Google accounting study advice and you will find me. I have a YouTube channel you can go and look at. I have what I focus on study mindset and study strategy courses so we can understand our mindset and the shift that we need to make in our studies, what that looks like, etc., etc. That is what I focus on. So, as much as I'm passionate about auditing, I believe that this stuff pervades the effectiveness of your studies for every single subject and pretty much the rest of your life. No pressure. So work on being okay, work on developing tools to manage sitting in that chair. And that is me. Thank you very, very much for your time. Again, huge amount of information, short amount of time. I appreciate it. You can find me on my website if you're looking for more information. And I hope that's given you some stuff to think about without being negative.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. I must say you really are a breath of fresh air on these matters, which the profession is really looking at trying to get on top of. I think we all know that the profession is going through much growth and change. We are threatened by computers, and as Yvonne pointed out, we don't want to try and compete with computers. That's not the situation at all. What we want to do is use the skills that we develop through our studies and through experience to be able to interpret different situations, to help clients, to add value to what we offer. And we need students to adapt and to use your knowledge and skills to deal with issues that really only accountants can assist with as a result of your training, as a result of your technical skills, but most of all in applying those skills to what are the real life situations. So Yvonne, I really do appreciate that presentation, and it's very interesting for me to see what exactly you are doing. It's a completely different approach. At first, I thought Yvonne was into motivation, but she made it pretty clear that was not her focus at all, and that what she is offering is much more long-term. It's not, as she pointed out, just being motivated to go and study over the weekend or whatever. It is to look at learning skills to develop and overcoming some of your fears and being able to focus on the task at hand. And those of you who are going to join Regent in either doing maybe the Access program or the PGTA, it's to see what Yvonne has offered and learn from that. And we at Regent are going to be trying to incorporate some of the things that Yvonne is suggesting to assist students with this journey in trying to get your PGDA and then pass the ITC and become valuable accountants with much to offer the country, the profession, and society as a whole. So Yvonne, thank you very much. It was really lovely having you to share that with us. If we can go on to some questions. We're going to answer any questions that relate basically to what we offer at Regent. And so let me have a look. I did see some of the questions, and perhaps I'll start with the one where somebody was asking how many tests and exams are there during the PGDA year. We have 4 tests during the course of the year. The first one is just over 1 day, where you would have a morning session and an afternoon session. The second one is a cumulative, we call it a semester exam, and that's over 2 days. So we very much emulate what happens in the board exam. It's written over 2 days, a morning session, afternoon, exactly like the board exam is. The third test is over 1 day, and the fourth test is then over 2 days again. So the intention is to try and, as I said, copy what the board exam is about, so that we prepare you for it. And I have had students saying to me after writing their first board exam that in fact it was a bit of a letdown. They felt that they had done it before, and this was just another exam over 2 days. So that's really our aim with the format of our test. So 4 tests during the course of the year, and we count the best 3 of 4 results as part of the year mark. Right, I'm not sure, Taman, how we should look at any other questions, or if anybody wants to specifically ask a question of either Yvonne or myself.
Yvonne, you can go ahead. There's a couple of questions there as well for you.
I can just say that Yvonne is not part of our academic team at Regent. As you'll see, if you go onto her website, she works independently. But we've got her in to assist us in moving with the times and understanding this learning process as well. Thank you. Over to you, Yvonne. Sorry.
No, not at all. I see one question in the Q&A, which I really quickly want to deal with, is someone asked if it's advisable to follow the CA route when you're over 40. And interesting, this is a question that I get a lot, because in fact, just this week, I got a question from a student who's 50 and is looking at, at a qualification. And I have an article on my website that I actually wrote about this, so you can Google that on my website as well. My answer is, if that's what you want, do it. Because, okay, this is going to sound a little weird. If you're 40 today and you're kind of retiring at about 65, that means you have 25 years of your career left. So, this idea that like, oh, I'm kind of over, or like at 40, my career is going to be winding down, it's not worth it. You got 25 years still to work. If you want that qualification, you need to do it. The idea that qualifications like this are only for like young people straight out of school, rubbish. If that's what you want, if that's your goal, forget the age thing, like ditch the age thing. That I'm getting that a lot from people. Please, like, ditch the age, ditch the age. And most of us will probably end up working past 65 because the economy doesn't really allow us to retire and with amazing amounts of money. 1 or 2 students were kind of asking, about shifting, like how do you shift a fixed to a growth mindset? The first thing, as I said today, I think the first thing is to sit on challenge a little bit. And it's so fascinating that this is the first question we get, right? Which is, okay, Yvonne, how do I fix it? Which for me is so fascinating, because that is exactly what a fixed mindset does. That is exactly a symptom of a fixed mindset, is we go straight to, okay, I'll fix it now. Let's fix it straight away. The reality is, you need to sit on it for a while, understand the impact that it has in your life. For most of my students, we need to have a little chat, a little bit of soul searching, and kind of go, what impact does this have? How does it impact me on a daily basis? How does it impact my emotions, my anxiety, the stuff that I do, my exams? How has it impacted me? The more we can unpack what this means to you, the more that we can impact exactly what impact this has, then we can start to say, this is the shift that we need to make. So first of all, awareness is crucial. Sit on the problem a little bit. Think about it. Don't let yourself feel bad about it. Don't kind of, oh, I don't want to think about it because then I'm going to feel stupid. for me, I was a fixed mindset throughout my entire qualification. So like, I've been there. I hear you. You're all over my website, you'll see, like, I sucked at stuff, right? But that doesn't mean you have to stay there. Awareness first. And secondly, the active reframing of how you approach challenges. Being aware of the purpose of stuff, being aware of what learning actually is. Learning is a process. It is a journey. There are 4 scientific, if you will, steps in the learning journey. The first one being unconscious incompetence. Didn't know that I didn't know it. The second one is conscious incompetence. Now I realize that I don't know what's going on. The third one is conscious competence, which is like, I kind of get it, but I have to work really hard. I got to focus on it. And the last one is unconscious competence, which is, I don't even have to worry anymore. And if you think, again, I use like driving a car, same thing, right? First, I don't even know that I don't know how to drive a car way back when. Then I get behind the wheel of a car and realize I have no idea what's going on. Then I have to focus. Like, I really have to focus on driving a car. Like, and the next thing you know, you're driving to work without even thinking about it. And you get to work and you can't even actually remember the route you took to work. So these are the 4, if you will, like scientific steps in learning that have been identified by educators, right? By academics. And you and I, we want to go straight from 1 to 4, right? That's not how it works. We've got to understand that this is a journey. So shifting mindset to start is awareness and starting to shift your belief about what you're doing in the class and what you're doing with questions. It's not a test of your smartness. It's not a test of whether or not you can do this. It's a journey. Calm down and approach it for what it is, which is learning, not a test of whether or not I'm smart enough to do this, because you are smart enough to do this. You are smart enough to do this. So that's always the biggest question that I get. And obviously there's a lot of information on my website, etc. But like, short answer, that's the starting point. Yusuf, you've got a question about like the accounting study, the best way to study. Jump into questions. Jump into questions. Because you need to simulate and practice and see what you're going to be doing with your information. So when we have less time, we try and squeeze all the theory in first, and we have no time for questions. But the reality is, use the questions to identify what you need to learn. So do the question, oh, okay, that I actually did understand, that I did get, oh my goodness, I was so far off there. I have no idea what's going on. I don't really know. So use your questions. I kind of call it the research method, which is use the questions to identify what you do and don't need to work on. Then pick 1 or 2 of those things, just 1 from each question, just 1 or 2. Not, I must use this question to learn everything about accounting ever, but just 1 or 2. And go, I need to fix this. I need to work on that. So start with questions, because what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up trying to squeeze your entire year's worth of studying in, focusing all on the theory, and then you're going to leave like 5 days to do questions. It's not going to work. That's not going to work. So use the questions, do them, and you've got to be okay with failing them. You've got to be okay with failing them, because you are going to fail them, because you're learning and you're using them to learn. And you may have less passive interaction with your lecturers, so you may have less classes. Cool, that's fine, understandable. But if you do have lecturers, use and abuse them. Use them and abuse them. That is what they're there for. Email them, hunt them down. Irritate them until the point where they don't want to answer your email anymore. That is what they're there for. Most of my students will not ask questions of their lecturers because they don't want their lecturers to know that they don't know what they're doing. Tip, advice, take a question to your lecturer or send them a question and go, I've done this. Can you help explain what's good? There's nothing worse than a student emailing me and go, can you fix my audit risk? No, I don't know. They send me a question and go, this is what I did. I suck at it. Can you tell me where I'm going wrong? Sweet, I'll fix it. I'll spend all the time in the world with you. And I'm sure, Prof. Stegen, you can agree with that. Ask me questions.
Yes, no, absolutely. It is all, we love some interaction with students, because you then get to understand, particularly now that we don't see students, we then get to understand what students are battling with, what areas students are not comfortable with, that sort of thing. So interaction with students is so useful for both parties. I mean, we would like to think that we then try and assist the students in understanding those areas. And from our point of view, we then can also work on areas that we feel or that we believe students are battling with. So the interaction is very important between students and ourselves.
And if I ask you a question on behalf of the students, are you under the impression during the year that your students know what they're doing?
Not about the technical knowledge
No,
and that.
exactly, because they're learning, right? Because they're learning. And this, I find students are like, oh, I don't want to go to my lecturer because, he probably thinks that I should know what I'm doing. I'm like, trust me, your lecturer knows exactly what you do and don't know. They know what you struggle with. We know what they struggle with. I know that I can give, a student a risk question and a strategy question. I know which one they'll fail.
Yeah.
We understand that. Like, we know that. So when you go to your lecturers, they have loads of experience. They know what you struggle with, but they can help you foster. They can help you foster, and that's what they're there for. Absolutely what that. So use and abuse the resources that you've got.
Yes, no, absolutely. I mean, that's exactly right. Students go to an institution, and if we can assist students by interacting, then that assists them, and it's a way of students getting on top of the topic much quicker than trying to figure it out themselves.
Absolutely. When you send me a question, I can see what's going on in your head. I can kind of go, oh, okay, I can see what you were thinking. I can see why you're going in that direction. And I can re-guide you and I can realign you very quickly because I can see, oh, you got to that answer because that's what you're thinking instead of this. It's a lot faster to help you if you're doing questions. So yeah, if you're struggling with time, whatever level you're at, if you're struggling with time, questions are very important. Very, very important. Doesn't feel that way. Doesn't feel that way. I know. But they are.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, we, in trying to find out how good students are, is we set questions to establish how much they understand and whether they are able to answer those questions. So practicing on the questions must be assisting you to answer the questions at the end of the year or in the assessments as well.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Simulate the process. You're not going to learn to fly by sitting in an office. You got to get in the plane, man. You've got to simulate the environment. Otherwise, what are you preparing for? 100%.
Just to answer another one of the questions, it asked about who needs to do access. Well, we do apply quite strict criteria for entrance to the PGTA. And our entrance criteria is similar to a lot of the other universities. We do look at students who have passed the BCom accounting in the previous 2 years. And we do look at the 55% rule. But it's not absolute. We look at some of the history of how students have done in other modules and whether you might have repeated third year or a bridging program, that sort of thing. So what I've given you is basically just our guidelines as to what we look at for admission into the PGTA. As far as the access program is concerned, the students who don't make or meet the criteria for the PGTA, but we're saying to you, please don't give up on your dreams of becoming a chartered accountant. And as Yvonne pointed out, having failed once or twice does not mean you're not able to do it. You need to believe that you can, and you need to change maybe your strategy, your approach to life, your approach to learning and studying and answering questions. And we're saying, don't give up on your dream to become a chartered accountant, and maybe look at doing a year. And the access program is, as I said, pitched at a third year plus level. So it's really trying to bridge the gap in your knowledge and being maybe a bit out of date, so that once you pass the access program, you would then be, what we believe, completely ready to go into the PGTA and then pass the PGTA. So the PGTA then is designed for people who might have been out of, or students who have studied a little while ago, might not have met all of the entrance criteria. And we all know, I mean, at the present moment with COVID and not having direct access to staff and to having face-to-face lectures and stuff, that there's been a number of challenges that people have faced. And so you might not have done as well as you should have because of circumstance. And the access program then will give you a way in which to get back into the CA stream, as it were, and then become a chartered accountant. The other questions that I saw were related to our ITC pass rates and pass rates. Do you remember that this is only our second year, and the students haven't yet written the year-end exams? So it's too early for us really to say how we are faring on the pass rate. All I can really say is that we are obviously wanting to have as high a pass rate as possible in the PGTA, and then to do as well as possible in the ITC, that the students do as well as possible in the ITC exams. But our education, we also believe, is more than just passing. I know for you, that's the be all and end all. However, it's also really to get an education of how to become a competent accountant who will be able to add value once you go out into the real world as such. Yvonne, I don't know if you see any other questions at all.
Nope, nothing from me. Thank you.
The weekly time required to successfully complete the Access program. Well, it's always very difficult to say. I mean, it really depends where you're coming from. If you haven't studied for a couple of years, you might find that you're having to cover quite a bit of new work. So it's very difficult again. But there is a volume of work. The Access program is not just a shortcut into the PGTA without you doing much work. We set a number of tutorials, and we then require you, well, we hope that you'd work through those, and we then spend time looking at the tutorials, going through them, looking at together with yourselves where you've gone wrong, and assisting you with that. So very difficult to say what the time or how much time you must dedicate to it. It certainly is quite a lot of time, but it is manageable. But as I say, it all depends where you come from and how long you haven't studied for that sort of thing. So I don't really want to say, no, you'll need to do 25 hours a week or whatever. It varies completely from student to student. How many students have registered this year? We've got over 40, I think it is, on the Access program, and over 50 on the PGTA. All right, that then, I think our time's up. Again, Yvonne, thank you very much for your contribution. It was really lovely to hear your ideas, which are really very fresh and things that we as a profession need to be looking at. And I think that you have so much to offer students, and I do encourage students to then go onto your website and just see some of your ideas, because, as I say, they are new and it's a different approach, and you really do have so much to offer on that. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
To the students who have asked questions, we will go through the questions, and this recording will be made available. So we will answer some of those questions so that we do then have answers for you. All right, I think we have to wrap up because of time, but please, like with Yusuf, we will come back to you about some of your queries here to assist you. Otherwise, please just email us at Regent, and we will then respond to that. As Yvonne pointed out, we really want to be in touch with you and to assist you where we can with your various queries. So thank you very much to everyone for joining us this morning. Again, Yvonne, thank you for everything. And students, we hope to see you either on the Access program, but hopefully more on the PGTA. And if you've got questions, send them to us and we will respond and be in touch. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Bye then.